Hello everybody and welcome to Wake Up Wednesday. What? Oh, the cup, it's for tomorrow. Coffee Shop Thursday. Hey, it's for today, Wake Up Wednesday too. Well, we're going to wake up because our main character in our Old Testament lesson is told to wake up. Wake up to the reality of who God is. And it's something that maybe is quite bothersome to a lot of us because it's nothing more than that person having questions of God. Questions such as, why is this happening to me? Haven't I been a good boy, so to speak? Haven't I done everything you asked? And now look, my life is in tatters. It's ruined. What's going on, God? Explain yourself. Well, God does have an answer, and you probably have guessed who I'm talking about. I'm talking about Job. Yeah, our Older Testament reading comes from Job this week, and we don't get a whole lot of Job in our Revised Common Lectionary, but we do get him a couple times during this cycle B. And since we do, maybe it's a good idea just to refresh ourselves on what's going on in Job. Job, the first chapter kind of settles you in as to what a good guy he is and all the good stuff he has, how holy and righteous he is. Just an all-around nice guy, and also faithful to God. And then disaster strikes from all angles, and before you know it, he's basically sitting on an ash heap trying to figure out what is going on? Why, God, is all this happening to me? Then the bigger bulk of Job is nothing more than his three friends, well, supposed friends, who come up to him and give him all these answers that he doesn't like to hear, and they're answers that really are ones that often we give our friends. Like, oh, well, what did you do wrong? There has to be some sort of sin in your life. That's just the way things aren't fair in life, and blah, 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 all the way through all the different answers. And then he has a fourth person who comes up and says, hey, Job, I'm not as old and I haven't been around the block as many times as those guys, but let me tell you, I have a few things to say too. And Job isn't happy with what he has to say. And he just wants an answer from God as to why all this bad stuff is happening. Well, the behind-the-scenes thing that he doesn't know is that up in heaven, God and some of his little minions have been up there. And one of them, who was called the adversary, that's sometimes referred to as Satan in the Bible, but it's not the Satan that we talk about in New Testament times, okay? Totally different character all together, but because it's the word adversary and Satan are synonymous. It's the same word. All right, so Satan says to God, hey, you know what? The only reason why he's such a nice guy and a good guy is because you've given him all this good stuff. Take it all away from him. See what he says then. So God says, okay, take it all away from him. We'll see what he says. And that is why we get to where we are in the 38th chapter now of the book of Job. Now in the 38th chapter, now we have God giving his answer back to Job. And it's interesting, this is the first time in the book of Job since the beginning of it that God is called by his name, Yahweh. This is the first time. So now it's very specific, Yahweh. And you would think that what Yahweh would do is take Job by the hand, maybe put his arm around him and say, okay, Job, let me explain all this to you. No, you know what he does instead? He takes him on a tour of, well, the zoo of the world. They go for a walk in nature, just like if I were to get up right now and say, okay, hey, let's go for a walk. Let's look at this. Let's look at this pile of sticks that's gathered up here. Okay, hey, look at that tree there. Look at that blue sky. Look, there's a little cloud over there that's in the distance. You know, as if I started doing stuff like that. That's what God does. He starts giving him a nature tour. And you're wondering, what What's that all about, God? Well, maybe what it's all about is God's telling Job, I don't think you can handle it. I don't think you can handle an explanation of everything that's going on. And what's neat about the book of Job is it doesn't give any clear-cut answers. You might say it's neat. Well, in a way it's good because it leaves it up to you and to me to work it out, to try to figure it out, but to come, and we probably never will, but we do come to a point of resolution where we just simply live in faith. I know that's not a great answer. It's not one we want to hear. We want to be able to dive into the Bible and come up with all the answers to life. I think Job is the perfect example of the Bible not being the answer book. It isn't. It's the book that points the way toward life, points the way toward how we live our lives in faith. And it doesn't have the answer to every single little question. Like the disciples, even tried to pin that on Jesus when, hey Lord, how many times am I supposed to forgive my brother? 7 times? Because that's what had been worked out by the rabbis. Jesus said, hey, how about 70 times 7, okay? In other words, you just keep doing it. You just keep doing it. You don't keep score. You don't try to figure out formulas. And that's the way it is with our faith. Our faith is like that. And I think that's what God is throwing back at Job. And in the end of the story is kind of a happy ending in which it's a little appendix that's added on there that Job gets all his wealth and family and stuff like that back. Not the ones he had before, but, new ones. But that's not the point. The point is we live our lives in faith. And we don't know what's going to come our way. This is a world that is a little goofy, a little crazy, or maybe I should say a lot goofy and a lot crazy. Now, before we leave, real quick, why is this our scripture passage for this coming Sunday? Well, we're only going to read the first 11 verses out of chapter 38, and here is the last part of it. Or who shut in the sea with doors when it burst out from the womb? When I made the cloud its garment and thick darkness its swaddling band, and prescribed bounds for it, and set bars and doors, and said, thus far shall you come, and no further, and here shall your proud waves be stopped. In other words, the thought about the oceans and that, and how dangerous they were, especially for sailors, is that it's chaos. It's the place where bad stuff happens. And what God is telling Job is, hey, back there in creation, were you there when I set the boundaries of all this? And I said, hey, you don't go any further, waves. And instead of chaos being this thing to be feared, he turns it into something that he gave birth to himself. And he provides for it by, it says, when it came out of the womb, I made the clouds its garment, and I made a swaddling blanket out of the darkness. That's talking about God taking care of the sea as if it's his own little baby. Yeah. And then he said no more. He set up the boundaries of it. It's kind of a neat little thing, and it was probably chosen by those doing the common lectionary because what it once again is our gospel lesson for this coming Sunday. Jesus stilling the storm while his disciples are all going, help, we're all going to die. Why are you sleeping, Jesus? Wake up. Jesus stilling the storm. Okay, so keep that in mind for this coming week as we approach Sunday, and we'll have this lesson that'll be read. And just keep in mind, too, that we don't get all the answers. Your pastor doesn't have all the answers. No pastor has all the answers. We all are in this together, working out our lives of faith in a God who we trust and believe loves us, cares for us, and will be there for us in our time of need. God's blessings be with you. And hey, why don't you take a walk and take a good look at nature? See you all tomorrow.